All right, let's talk about something we've all struggled with, temptation. We usually think of it as, some outside force trying to get us. But what if the real game, the real trick, is actually happening entirely inside our own heads? Let's dive in and break that down.
You know the feeling, right? It's that New Year's Day energy. You're on fire. You're going to hit the gym. You're going to eat clean. You're going to learn that new skill. You feel totally unstoppable. And then what happens? A week, maybe 2 weeks later, you're right back where you started, and you're just sitting there like, wait, where did all that determination go?
Well, it turns out there's a reason for that. Because almost as soon as we make those big promises to ourselves, this enemy shows up. It's like the ultimate saboteur of all our good intentions. Yep, you guessed it, we're talking about temptation.
And it's almost like a rule of the universe, isn't it? The bigger the commitment, the bigger the temptation that comes knocking at the door. And this isn't just some small passing thought. Nope, it's a full-on internal battle. And sometimes it feels like a war we just can't win.
So, to really get to the bottom of this, we're going to look at a pretty extreme case study from our source material. I'm talking about a true test of willpower, under about the most intense pressure you can imagine. A 40-day fast, out in the desert.
Okay, so picture this. After 40 days with zero food, this person isn't just, feeling a bit peckish. They're in a state of total physical and mental collapse. This is way beyond simple hunger. We're talking about a deep, painful distress where your body is literally starting to shut down. And that number, 40, that is a really, really long time. To put it in perspective, there was this heartbreaking study done by doctors in the Warsaw Ghetto during World War II. They documented what starvation actually does to people. And what they found was that after just 10 days, people were basically listless. But the moment food showed up, they became incredibly aggressive, almost like different people. So 40 days? That is a whole other level of extreme.
And that's where this quote really hits home. The source basically says, when you're that hungry, all the polite, nice parts of you, they just start to fall away. Your whole personality starts to crumble. So remember that. This person is at their absolute most vulnerable. Now let's see what happens.
Okay, so this is where we get to the real secret, the big reveal. Because this is the moment where we learn that temptation doesn't work at all like we think it does. It's way more subtle and a whole lot smarter.
All right, so here's the absolute key. We usually think temptation is like a piece of chocolate cake being waved in our face when we're on a diet, right? It's a thing. But the big insight here is that's not it at all. Temptation isn't the thing itself. It's the idea that gets planted in our mind. It's all about shifting how you think.
So let's break down the scene. Before a single word of temptation is spoken, what's actually there? You've got a starving person. And you've got a field full of, just rocks. That's it. A hungry guy and some stones. They have absolutely nothing to do with each other.
Now, what about after the tempting idea is planted? Take a look. What's changed in the outside world? Absolutely nothing. The person is still starving, and the stones are still just stones. The physical reality is exactly the same.
So, if nothing on the outside changed, then what was the temptation? What's the one thing that got introduced that created this huge internal struggle? And there's the answer. The only thing that was different was one single idea. What if these stones were bread? See? The temptation wasn't the bread itself. The temptation was the suggestion that the stones could become bread. It forged this brand new link in his mind between his deep hunger and these random rocks.
It's basically a mental hijack. And what's so powerful about this is that the source shows us how this exact same process plays out, not just in some extreme desert scenario, but in our own lives every single day. And just look at how it starts. The line is, if you are the Son of God. That's not about food. That's a direct shot at his identity, his pride. It's the exact same voice in our own heads that whispers, hey, you work hard, you're a good person. You shouldn't have to put up with this. You're better than this struggle. It goes right for our ego. Let me give you a super relatable example of this in action. Okay, step 1, you make a promise. I'm going to read a chapter every single night before bed. Great. Step 2, the moment of weakness hits. You're just wiped out. It's been a long day. Then comes step 3, the rationalization. That little voice pops up. You know what? I'll just read 2 chapters tomorrow. And then step 4, the justification. Your brain starts building this whole airtight case for why skipping tonight is actually the smarter move. I'm too tired to really get anything out of it anyway. Or it's about quality, not quantity, right?
So that's the playbook right there. Temptation hijacks our point of view.
It convinces us to swap a big, long-term goal, like our health, our faith, our discipline, for a small, short-term desire, like comfort or a little hit of pleasure. It completely reframes the whole decision to be about what feels good in this exact moment.
Okay, so if this whole thing is a trick of the mind, a shift in thinking, then how on earth do we fight it? Well, the good news is the source also gives us a really powerful tool for getting our perspective back on track.
And it comes in this famous line. Now, the power here isn't just saying no to the bread. It's much smarter than that. It's a strategic pivot. It doesn't say bread is bad or that you shouldn't want it. It says we need more than just bread to truly live.
And this is the solution in a nutshell. The way to beat temptation isn't just gritting your teeth and resisting. It's about deliberately lifting your eyes to a purpose that's bigger than that immediate craving. Think of bread as a symbol for any short-term desire. The real move is to remind yourself of the why, the bigger thing you're living for that goes way beyond that piece of bread.
So that really leaves us with a question to take with us, doesn't it? The next time you feel that resolution starting to wobble, ask yourself, what's my bread in this moment? What's that immediate thing that's calling my name? And then, the more important question, what's my bread alone? What's that higher purpose I need to lock my eyes onto? What is it that I'm really living for?